There is a traitor living in your house. You cannot see him, but you can hear him. He waits until the lights go out. He waits until you are vulnerable, until you are tired, until you are trying to find peace. And then he starts to whisper. He reminds you of the embarrassment you felt 5 years ago, playing it on a loop in high definition. He fabricates detailed, terrifying scenarios of how you are going to lose your job, how your relationship will fail, or how you will end up alone. He takes your deepest insecurities, the ones you hide from the world, and screams them into your ear. You know this traitor well. You call him my mind. And right now, it feels like he is trying to destroy you. You lie there, staring into the darkness, paralyzed by a war happening inside your own skull, thinking, why is my own brain against me? Why can't I just turn it off? Why is it broken? But before you spiral further into that resentment, I want you to pause. Consider a different possibility. What if you have been misinterpreting the signals? What if your mind is not a traitor? What if it is not a malfunctioning machine, or a parasite, or an enemy? What if your mind is actually a loyal, desperate guardian that is screaming because it loves you, but you just don't know how to speak its language? The problem is not that your mind is speaking. The problem is that you are not listening correctly. You are mistaking the noise of the engine for the direction of the car. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled the known world while surrounded by plague, betrayal, and war, had every reason to lose his mind. He had every reason to let anxiety consume him. Yet, he wrote a sentence in his private journals that contains the key to unlocking the mental prison you feel trapped in. He wrote, "The mind adapts and becomes what it chooses to focus on." And elsewhere, he noted, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This is not just poetry. This is the mechanics of human consciousness. Marcus realized that the mind is not a solid, fixed enemy. It is a neutral, fluid substance. It is like water. If you pour water into a cup, it takes the shape of the cup. If you pour it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If you pour your attention into fear, your mind becomes fear. If you pour your attention into resentment, your mind becomes a prison of anger. You feel like your mind is attacking you because it is reflecting exactly what you have been feeding it for years. But to change the reflection, we must first understand the mirror. Let us look at the biology of your suffering through a Stoic lens. Your mind is an ancient survival mechanism. It is millions of years old. It was forged in a world where safety did not exist. In the wild, if you heard a rustle in the dry grass, your mind had to scream, "Lion!" immediately. It had to flood your body with cortisol and adrenaline so you could run or fight. It didn't care if you were happy. It didn't care if you were fulfilled. It only cared if you were alive. It was better to mistake the wind for a lion 1,000 times than to mistake a lion for the wind once. But today, there are no lions in your bedroom. There are emails. There are bills. There are awkward social interactions. There is the vague uncertainty of the future. But your mind, this loyal, overprotective, ancient watchman, does not know the difference. It sees an unpaid bill and screams, "Lion!" It sees a frown on your partner's face and screams, "Death!" It is handing you a heavy shield and a sharp sword to fight a monster that isn't there. It is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to save you. But because you don't understand its language, you take that sword and you point it at yourself. You think the anxiety is a sign that you are broken, when in reality, the anxiety is a sign that your survival mechanism is working too well in a world that is too safe. The Stoic art of mental clarity begins with a fundamental shift in how you listen. Most of us listen to our thoughts as if they are orders from a superior officer. A thought pops up that says, "You are going to fail this presentation." And we salute, we say, "Yes, I am going to fail." And we immediately begin to suffer. We treat thoughts as facts. This is the fatal error. A thought is not a fact. A thought is an event. It is a passing cloud. It is a suggestion from a worried watchman. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher who endured the physical chains of slavery but refused the mental chains of victimhood, offered a specific technique for this. He told his students to treat every impression, every thought that knocks on the door of the mind like a security guard checking an ID at the gates of a city. When a scary, negative, or intrusive thought appears, do not let it walk right into the throne room of your soul. Stop it at the threshold. Challenge it. Speak to it. Say to the thought, "Wait, let me see who you are. You claim to be a catastrophe, but are you? Or are you just a habit? You claim to be the truth, but are you just an echo of something my father said to me 20 years ago? Let me test you." By simply pausing, by creating that tiny, holy gap between the thought and your belief in it, you break the cycle. You realize that you are not the voice in your head. You are the one listening to the voice. You are the observer. You are the sky, and the thoughts are just the weather. The weather can be violent. It can be dark. It can storm for days. But the weather can never hurt the sky. The sky allows it to pass. This separation is the beginning of peace. You stop being the victim of your mind and become its manager. But Marcus Aurelius goes deeper than just observation. He tells us that we have the power to die the mind. This implies that your mental state is not something that happens to you. It is something you practice. It is a habit. If your mind feels like a chaotic, dark storm, it is because you have spent years practicing chaos. You have practiced worrying. You have practiced outrage. You have practiced catastrophe. You have become an expert at these things because the mind adapts to what it focuses on. You have trained your mind to be a storm, and it has learned the lesson perfectly. So, how do we retrain it? How do we wash out the dark dye of anxiety and replace it with the clear water of reason? We do it through the discipline of attention. You must curate your thoughts the way you curate the food you eat. If you ate rotten food all day, you wouldn't be surprised if your stomach hurt. You wouldn't blame your stomach. You would blame your diet. Yet we feed our minds garbage 24-hour news cycles of doom, petty gossip, social media comparisons, catastrophic what-ifs. And then we wonder why we are mentally sick. We wonder why the mind is vomiting fear. You must start feeding your mind stillness. You must feed it perspective. You must feed it silence. When the mind starts its familiar loop of, what if everything goes wrong? You must gently but firmly steer it toward, what is in my control right now? You don't fight the negative thought. Fighting just gives it energy. You replace it. You redirect the spotlight. You tell your mind, I hear you. You are worried about the future. Thank you for trying to protect me. But right now, we are going to focus on this work. We are going to focus on this breath. We are going to focus on this step. Think of your mind like a wild horse. A wild horse has tremendous power. If you try to beat it into submission, it will kill you. If you let it run wild, it will run off a cliff. But if you guide it, if you show it a path, if you are firm and calm, that wild energy becomes useful power. Your mind is that horse. It has energy. Anxiety is just energy without a direction. Currently, that energy is being used to tear up the fences of your sanity. But if you take the reins not with aggression, but with understanding, you can ride that energy toward greatness. You are not listening correctly because you are listening with fear. You are taking every static noise on the internal radio as a signal of immediate doom. Start listening with curiosity. When a dark thought arises, look at it like a scientist looking at a specimen. Isn't that interesting? My mind is predicting failure again. I wonder why. When you shine the light of reason on these monsters, they often shrink back into shadows. Shadows cannot survive direct light. This is not an overnight transformation. You have spent years dyeing your soul with the color of anxiety. It will take time to bleach it out. At first, the old dye will stain through. The old habits will return. The traitor will start whispering again at 3 a.m. That is okay. That is part of the process. You simply wash it again. You focus again. You adapt again. You do not get angry at the mind for wandering. You simply bring it back. Again and again, like training a puppy to sit. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Right now, for many of you, it is the master. It wakes you up. It ruins your dinner. It distracts you from your loved ones. It steals your joy. It is time to reverse the roles. It is time to reclaim the throne of your own consciousness. You do this not by declaring war on yourself, but by establishing peace. Stop fighting the watchman. Thank him for his service, and then relieve him of his duty. Tell him, I have this under control. Your mind is not against you. It is a mirror reflecting your focus. If it shows you a monster, it is because you are holding a monster in front of it. Put down the monster. Pick up a candle. Focus on the light. Focus on what you can control. Focus on the present moment. And watch how the mirror adapts. Watch how the mind, once a source of torment, becomes a sanctuary. The mind becomes what it chooses to focus on. Choose carefully, because what you focus on, you become. If these words resonated with you, and if you want to find more strength in the quiet wisdom of Stoicism, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach others who are fighting the same silent battles. Thank you for watching. See you next time.